You almost don't hear these days the word Kimura without trap following it, because it became a popular term, God, back in like early 2000s, I think. David Avalon, I think, coined the term. And essentially the idea of it is we're attacking this Kimura, this branch down arm lock or Udigarami, whatever you want to call this, but we're attacking it in a way that is presenting new options because we become tethered around the threat of this submission. And it's an interesting way to turn a submission into a position, right? Or into a transitional element. So whenever you can see opportunities like that, this stood out to me with omoplata, which is in the same neighborhood or vicinity of Kimura because it's still a rotational arm attack. And what happens is once, if I'm being attacked like this and I'm looking to defend this somehow, I have to defend in a way that moves me around the threat of the submission. Now, if I'm attacking with the Kimura Trap, then perfect rash guard for today. If I'm attacking with that, then I know the different angles, the only different angles that my opponent is really going to be able to move in, then I can cut them off in the pass, right? So it's like the idea in Jiu-Jitsu a lot of the time is I'm closing these doors and leading this person down this hallway exactly where I want them to go, but I'd like for them to feel like it's their idea, because then the deception starts to set in and I'm truly like manipulating this person, right? And Jiu-Jitsu is all about just manipulation of other people. So let's talk about how we're setting this up from knee shield. So what we're looking to do from here first is at this position, I've got my knee shield established. I want to make sure that I've got a pretty nice deep hook here. My knee is between his knees, so I'm hooking back behind between his hamstring and his calf. My top leg, like I said before, my femur's trying to stab him and impale him in the chest here like this. From here, again, like if I overextend, he's going to start looking to move my arms out of the way, passing and all that, right? And we'll maybe talk about that. But sometimes what I can do though is as I'm going to sit up and I'm putting my head and my neck within reach, I can get this guy sometimes he'll push me back down because it was my idea, but sometimes he'll start overextending and reaching here. And you'll find people do this a lot. And not just from knee shield, but closed guard, different variations of half guard. And when this starts to happen here like this, what I want to start to look to do is I'm going to take my radius toward my snuff box here this way, and I want to start feeding up here, right? So I'm sliding up by the tricep above his elbow here, and I want to go in for this arm crunch. And when I go in for the arm crunch here, what's happening is like I'm rolling over because I don't want him to retract his arm down this way, right? I don't want him to get like spooked that I'm attacking it and then retract his arm branch down. I want him to keep it straight so I can just break it right here, right? That'd be great. When I like get to this position now, here, this way, then sometimes just from right here, I can hit that because it's a pretty quick when it sets on pretty fast. And you hit this a lot of the time. I'm not going like a razor lock. A razor lock is where you're going with the bone through here like this. I don't think it offers as much control as it does if I get all the way to the well of the elbow or the antecubital space of the elbow here like this, above his olecranon process to the tricep tendon like that. And then from here, I keep the knee shield. I pinch his wrist between my ear and my shoulder here, and I'm gonna crunch down this way. So I'm trying to push the well of his elbow to my chest, yeah? So again, however I get him to overextend like that, right? So if I'm sitting up doing something like this here and he reaches to the back of my neck, then I'm gonna come back down. As I'm coming down, I'm already pinching the ear and shoulder around the wrist, and this one's gonna hug up this way. Again, punching up, at least gable, if not wrist to wrist butterfly style grip here, right? And then a hug and crunch, okay? So pretty simple to start out with, I think. Any questions about this one?
So I find myself in this position a lot, right?
Yeah.
And I know the Kimura Trap from here. I love this one. This is awesome. He's a huge rolling toe hold fan, as am I.
Yeah.
But so when I know that like he's playing back here and he's eventually going to transition and attack my foot, oftentimes I feel like I'm just stuck in limbo waiting for him.
Right.
Is there anything I should be aware of when he's playing back?
Hopefully
like
some of the stuff we'll talk about today will help with that, because it's always a concern about this guy, because like I like that too. I like to attack the legs from here personally.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm not a big like rolling toe hold guy because I'm not like terribly athletic. No, I meant from his position.
Yeah,
too.
no.
Yeah, either way, honestly. But knowing that though, then I feel like anytime that I'm like that and I have the threat of somebody I know is going to go for things like that, then I have early, middle, and late preventions steps. So in the late stage of it, the early stage obviously is like you just want to monitor and like be aware of like what he's doing and the energy he's giving you. Late stage is if he's going for it, you want him to overshoot the target, right? Because like what we
assist him in that rotation
to a degree, right? So I mean, and this is a very generic thing of what I mean here, because I don't know exactly like what all like he's thinking and going for here. But if he's giving me the look like he's thinking about going for that, right? So he's starting to turn and face that direction, right? Yeah, and especially if he's reaching, right? If he touches my foot, I'm like, fuck that, dude. Like, so what I would say do from here is, if I don't want to bail on the position, is use this as a frame and try to like, you see what I mean? Because now if he wants to stay holding my foot at that point, then he's going to fall over probably. So he had to post and base, right? Now, when we come back, I can kind of figure out what's going to happen next, right? And a lot of the time, that's a good time to attack forward that arm. Okay. Because as he comes back, his attention is still on that side of his body, right? So now if I want to start scooping in and attacking, either from just right now or from like previous experience with this position, is that whenever you get here like this, like sometimes I feel like I'm kind of fighting against myself trying to keep this knee frame in the proper location while trying to attack this arm. And size varies and different things, energies, all that kind of stuff varies. If you need a new place to put this knee, what I would suggest is rather than going below the arm, I would say try to stay above the arm, right? So if I'm here like this, I'm like, oh, that's not quite working out for me. This can hold it in place long enough for me to post on his head to get my shin inside. If you give a little less of a, your kids around? Is it cursing? Okay, thanks. If you don't give a shit about your opponent as much, and he's like turning to face you, and you just want to jam that knee in there, and you don't care if you knee him in the face because it's competition and you want to win, then that's fine. Here like that, right? It's not very nice, but it's fine. But you know, a little more polite, post, get that knee inside there, right? And then finish from here, right? So that's what I would recommend, and different things can happen. Now, let's look at a reaction though, because again, we're talking about the Kimura Trap. This is not a Kimura. So anybody speak Japanese? Awesome. So, so either way, in Japanese, either way, on a bent arm lock, branch up or branch down is urigarami. And I think one would probably be like yoko or something, I don't know. But the straight arm would be like urigeshi typically. So when we get here, a reaction he may have, it may be that he goes branch up. It's a little more difficult. Yeah, like this way. It's a little more difficult and it's very awkward. So it's a very rare kind of reaction. And you can have answers for it, but the one we're focused on today is if he goes branch down. This is a little more common because it's strong. When you go branch down and you do that like Arnold flex to the side like that, now you're activating lat, delt, all this stuff, right? Probably bicep. I don't have those, but that's probably what's activated on a normal person right now. When he gets here now from this position, again, and like, so I'm still attacking this arm just in a different way. That's when I definitely would be a proponent of keeping this cupped and then shoving my knee inside this way here, okay? And then now from that position, we'll go back here, right? If I want to finish out the submission on this one, then we'll swap hands here this way, okay? And as I swap hands, we'll come through and we'll find that Kimura setup, right? So now, on the mechanics of the Kimura, they can vary. You can go double thumbless, right? Or double thumb, or mix and match, right? So if I want to go monkey hand and Lego hand, that's fine. The reason that typically works is because when I'm connecting to my own wrist, I want to go over as far as possible and a thumb gets in the way, right? When I go here, like this is more for pushing away and rotating. So that makes more sense on the wrist. But again, sometimes this is not quite getting the job done and I need to be a little more cupped in, so I might go double thumbless, right? So when you hear people tell you like it has to be this way, they're probably wrong, but they're also right. So when we get here, what are we talking about? I get like this, straight arm first, here, and he goes branch down. I want to hug in, try to get my shin inside if it's not already, so I'll post on the head here this way. And then when we go to swap, so to be particular about this, I'm hugging his elbow to my chest, and when I swap the arms, the outside arm, we'll call this inside, this outside, the outside arm is going to go under the inside arm. Does that make sense? So here to swap. And we start to go and retract, and then we find here, okay? If you're like, I don't know if I can, this is awkward for me here this way, then when you weave this second hand in the side, if you want to use that to open the space to make it more reachable, that's a helpful little tool, and we'll talk about that again in a different position. Okay, so again, arm crunch here like this, right? He goes branch down, right? Pull and post, swap the arms out, right? Open to get the space to get the wrist here, right? And then we're not doing Kimura out here. This one retracts, hugs his elbow tight as I try to put this pinky finger in that ear, okay? It shouldn't make it. Try to switch out here, right? Don't be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna do that. No, that's not gonna happen. What will happen though, like if he goes branch down, hug tight. That's how I should get that shin in there, is just with that. You know, if I need to, I can frame, but I'd rather just get it there just with the hug and keeping this tight. Then make the switch while maintaining that tight. Again, if you want to use that wrist grip to open up space, cool. See, and look, I went thumbless that time. It's okay. I got permission. So like here, right, or here. But what's he gonna do, right? He's going to resist some kind of way. And there's two main ways that he will resist, posture or pressure. Most of the time that you have someone inside your guard and you're attacking them, or they're trying to set up some kind of passing procedure, those concepts, like the energies are gonna be either posture or pressure most of the time, right? Now that will be coupled with like rotational or linear force and yada yada, but it's like most of the time posture or pressure, because he's either gonna try to pressure down on me by clearing the knee shield or compressing the knee shield. He has to do that to free his arm up because he's off center, and that's what's gonna square him back up to me, right? Or he'll try to posture up and just rip his arm away. And if it's, I mean, you guys will probably make that work on me, but it's normal humans, then that's not a good idea a lot of the time, right? So what are we talking about? We get here, he goes branch down, I hug tight, get my shield in like that, and he really buries that arm, right? If you still think, man, if I could just turn on the afterburners right here, I could probably still finish this. Here's how you turn on the afterburner. I need to pummel my left leg, my left foot to his hip. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm not that flexible, so I'm going to take my knee and I'm gonna compress his shoulder down. You see what I did? And then now my leg is free and I can come through and I can step and then rip his arm off, okay? Does this make sense? That might work. Cool. So again, if you need a little extra help, I'm like, he's just strong, but it's not, it's like he's strong, but it's just one arm strong. Then I'm like, I still want to try to finish this. So again, I'm going to curve my knee in and down to compress his shoulder down, and then pummel over across his back, step on the hip, and then push away, like I'm kind of doing a weird deadlift here, right? So pull to expose the arm, now we finish. Okay, does that make sense? Now, yeah, you handle a little bit more than that, yeah? A little secondary option, because I need to fit a lot of stuff into this time. So, secondary, right? We're here like this, and with him defending with one arm, something else that he may look to try to do is to try to clear the knee shield to the inside. Yeah, see now, I may still be able to finish it from bottom half, but it's less likely because he's really compressed the space that I need, and it's gonna be harder for me, and I can't pummel my leg over like I did before. So if I can't go over it, I gotta go under it. So with this knee shield cleared, I'm gonna put that foot on the floor, I'm gonna hip out to make some space, and I wanna put my shoelaces on the inside of his thigh for this butterfly hook here, like this, okay? So this is my secondary position that we might go to for a different option, okay? I'm keeping this nice and tight, compressed, my butterfly hook is inserted. Okay. So let's do those two things. One, we'll finish by pummeling the leg over to the hip, finish with that kind of power Kimura. Or if he clears the knee shield, I'm gonna pummel in for the butterfly hook, and that will set us up in the next chain of events that we're gonna follow. Questions?
Can I see it one more time?
Absolutely. So full speed? No. So we're here, right? He goes branch down, hug tight, get the shin in the frame of the neck, swapping out on the arms, get my Kimura, everything is the same to here. First thing is like I need a little extra help. So again, like this is curving in and down. I'm trying to press the inside of my knee on the back of his delt to get him bent down like that, and then pummel over his head, step on the hip, boom, try to get that hand free, and then I know I can finish the Kimura, right? Secondary, he clears the knee shield here. As soon as he does, I'm gonna hip to make space. So I shrimp out, pummel my foot in, so I feel my shoelaces on the inside of his thigh, okay? Let's do it, 1, 2. That's okay, right? Whenever you start to lose shoulder and hip alignment, your core has a lot more trouble engaging, and then your limbs, by association, become weaker. I don't know, I didn't like study anatomy in school, so I don't know if that's correct, but it seems like it's right, okay? So I'm gonna keep saying it until I have somebody more knowledgeable be like, no, that's not right at all, and here's why. Nobody's done that yet, so I'm gonna keep spreading this potential disinformation. So, but try to stay in line when you can, because it is gonna offer you a stronger structure. It's gonna offer you more control over your limbs. You're gonna be able to like use more core strength to be able to keep yourself in alignment and all that stuff. When we get here and we're going through this progression. So again, we're going arm crunch, he folds down, right? You just wanna start here at this point, fine. It's like those video games where you can like start at save points or something. When we get here now, right? Again, I could try to pummel over, but he clears the leg. Now wait, let's go back 1 sec. We get here, and I've started to attack. I'd like to go in this order. Here, 1, switch, attack the Kimura, he defends, then he clears the leg. Clearing the leg is part of the defense of the Kimura. It's not, at this point, an arbitrary movement because I'm hugging his arm, all right? So we get here. And again, like I can't get my butterfly hook in very well unless I shrimp out a bit to make space and pummel this leg to the inside. As much as I can, I like to use references, like landmark references of my own body rather than his, because I have more control over my own body than I do over his body. So rather than thinking, I'm gonna, where's that space? You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna kick myself in the, there's no kids. I'm gonna kick myself like in the taint, essentially, and now it goes pretty much where I need it to go, right? Just be careful, you know. You don't want to like sit here and be like, okay, dude, I'm sorry, I got to tap because I just kicked myself in the balls. No, like you don't want to do that. Like, but that's the trajectory you typically want to follow. Now, so what will happen here sometimes is that if he's still wanting to pressure down and drive into you, right? What he's doing essentially is he's taking the center of his mass, which is like usually the space just below your belly button, and he's putting it more over my hips and center, right? So then as he's driving in while still keeping his arm protected, that's crucial, right? He has to maintain that. Then he's driving his hip and shoulder more toward me, right? So as he continues to do that here, then I'm gonna use this butterfly hook to do a couple things. One, to open the space if he's not doing it already, which a lot of times he will because he's driving forward, and allowing my bottom hook to come out here, right? And then from there now, I wanna kick him over my shoulder. What I would suggest for your partner is to look away from me, right? You can look toward your partner, probably only gonna do it 1 time, okay? So as he looks away here like this, and then I go to kick him up and over this direction, right? As soon as that happens, I'm using my Kimura connection that I still have, almost as if it were like a Kimura trap. And then from here, I wanna drive my hips in and give him like a pillow at this point, okay? Make sense? So, again, we are here. I did all this kind of stuff, attacking the Kimura. He's like, nah, son. And I'm like, yeah, son. Here like this. And so then he starts driving forward on this reaction. So look, I use a butterfly hook to elevate to clear my bottom hook. And then from there now, right, I want to turn more square. And I'm pressing with T-Rex arms. I'm still trying to press his wrist up into his lower abdomen and elevate him over my left shoulder. This is my left, over my top shoulder here this way, right? Okay. Drive the hips in, pretty immediate, okay? Question? Yeah. Yeah. That's why I'm teaching in 2 weeks.
Any non-flexible tips?
Yeah. I like to make those concessions. Bro, like as the years wear on me, like, cause when I started, I was like, you know, teenage kid and 130 pounds soaking wet, and like I would just let people fold me into a pretzel, and I was made out of rubber. Oh, I see what you mean. So a couple of things are happening. When you're sweeping him, the arm's free.
Arm free?
Yeah, just break his arm. Like I don't have to sweep him with a free floating arm, just break that right there, right? What's happening though, like so when your partner's on top, what's happening is he's burying that arm, and you can't free it, and so you're doing this sweep essentially as to be able to get to a position where you can continue to attack. So you're using it as a position instead. If you, at any point during this, the arm comes free, just go back to the attack, either make him hide it or break his arm. Yeah. Butterfly hook, but now I'm gonna press, like I'm not gonna pull him forward because that's not where he's going, right? I don't wanna fight opposing energies because he's bigger and stronger and less handsome than I am. So whenever I get here instead, I'm gonna use that to start kicking my leg free, you see? So I remove the bottom hook, right? And then now I'm gonna remove the top hook, right? So we go there, I keep this pressed into him, right? That's a big thing. I don't want to get loose and light with my arms and then just allow him to escape. So I'm keeping the configuration, my elbows are compressed, triceps are trying to reach my ribs, and I'm pressing his hand into him. At that point here now, both legs essentially free. I'm going to keep those two legs together, and I'm going to spin around this way, okay? Does this make sense? So again, I'm using the threat of the Kimura and his defense in reaction to that to give me the opportunity to stay tethered and rotate around the threat, right? So, yeah, we find ourselves here. If you just want to truncate the prefix to this and then like just start from right here with the butterfly hook inserted, and he sets the weight back this time. Okay? So I'm going to use that to start trying to clear my bottom leg, and then the top leg here, and then legs are going to pendulum together. I don't want my head to run into his knee, so I'm keeping compressed away from me. Spin, boom. As that knee comes in, oftentimes he'll fall over like that. If he doesn't, climb up to the back, right? If he falls over, you don't have to climb. Okay, makes sense? Sometimes it'll wind up resulting in a back take. Awesome, okay? Sometimes he's too low, this way, okay? If he's too low, instead of inserting the hook by his hip, I'll go over the shoulder. Yeah? Now look at this hand here. You guys see this hand? There's no way you guys see that hand. So when we're here like this, you see this hand. Now this hand is gonna come up and it's gonna grab my shin here, okay? I'm gonna air guitar, right? Go on this way to start trying to take him over this direction, right? So I drop him on this leg here, okay? Once I drop him on that leg, this arm is compressing to keep his arm pinned up this direction. Here, this leg comes in, smashes everything nice and tight, and then I'm gonna put my shoelaces behind his back here. Squeeze and get the tap. Not getting the tap, straighten the arm out and get a shoulder lock, okay? What was all that? So one more time. We start with the Kimura threat. Butterfly hook pummels inside, sets his weight back. I use the butterfly hook to escape my bottom leg. Then my top leg comes out and I make a big spin this way, okay? Maybe it results in a back take. Maybe he's too low. So I come here, rotate him over, drop him on the leg that's on his neck here, right? Cross here, 1, 2, put the shoelaces behind his back as much as possible. And then squeeze. If you need help, press his head and shoulder away from you. Or put the back of his hand on your chest here, the shoulder lock, okay? Make sense? Let's go. 1, 2. This guy can fall different ways, right? And that will be determined by a lot of things. His size, the way he distributes his weight, his balance, his base, his awareness of the position, right? People with a lack of awareness of the position can do some funky things sometimes, right? But almost any way that he falls, if he does fall at all, he's going to give you an opportunity. It might be the back take. It might be this triangle that we were looking at. It might be an arm bar. It might be a crucifix. It might be something else, right? And so I want to keep in mind, we're not going to go through every single possible iteration of how you can fall, but almost every way is an opportunity for you on the attacking end. And he is playing heavy defense because he's late into this game, okay? Again, I don't want to oversimplify it, but it's just be aware and make sure that you're putting the peg in the right hole, you know? You gotta go with what he's giving you to be the most efficient way possible, right? All right, what else was it? So this arm thing, I do want to address this because like you guys brought it up and it's a legitimate concern, and I had troubles with this whenever I started doing this spinny thing. I was telling Lynn, it's like whenever I first learned this move, like I don't remember who I even learned it from, like 100 years ago, but it was like, oh, that's gonna look cool on Instagram, you know? But then I started like trying it live and I'm like, oh shit, it actually works. Like this isn't just a pretty flashy move, but it really works. And it's positionally sound, like fundamentally it's a sound position. The problem I was running into, one of the problems was what you guys were talking about, is that other arm can post, yeah? So here's something that I had to figure out about that. So we get here, I get this pummeled in, he sets his weight back, but in doing so, right, he's like, his arm behind my back and my hips is a restriction for me, right? So it's gonna be difficult for him though, I feel most of the time, for him to prevent my shrimp with his arm, right? Now again, like some of you guys in here are big and strong enough to where like you 100% can do it. But when I go here, this way, I still have space to clear, right? Now here's the thing though, the harder he posts his arm, the stronger he posts it, what is he doing, right? Now his weight he's actually, yeah, he's got to bring his weight over me. So we go back to that first thing, right? If not, he's pushing his weight back. He's overextending his arm. His arm can't be that strong. You see what I'm saying? So like this, I can't bend my wrist that much. This is going to be strong because like I'm driving it straight down. The angle is strong. The more I start to move it away from my body and open my armpit, so that space, this is getting weaker. It's going to be a lot easier to knock that post out of the way than it will be if I have weight centered over it. Okay, so does that kind of make sense? So if you're running into that, or if you run into that later, then that's a concept to kind of keep in mind, right? You're not going to think about that live, right? You're not going to think about any principles and concepts and overarching things live, but that's why it's important to think about those when you're training and drilling, and that's why I think it's important to go from a completely non-resistant partner and then build up levels of difficulty and add pressure and add resistance as you go, right? It's no different than like lifting weights, right? I mean, if you never bench pressed before, you might want to start with the bar, you know, and then like you add weights as your form gets better and then testing yourself out like that. So, and then also if you screw something up in a live roll or in a competition or in a fight or whatever, the principles work as a grading rubric to apply to your performance to be able to really pick out what it was you actually did wrong, right? On a fundamental level. You know, it's just like, oh man, that's where I screwed up right there. Try not to do that again. I was like, what does that mean you screwed up, all right? Okay, well, I'm out of alignment, you know, my shoulders and hips are out of alignment, my foundation is off, my weight distribution was wrong, blah, blah, blah. Then that gives you something tangible you can go and work with. All right, so I'll shut up about all that stuff, but those things are important. It's really one of the more important thing than any technique is the principle behind it. But you can't principle into principle. That's just philosophy, right? That's Aikido, okay? So if you haven't heard me say this before, Aikido is the highest level of martial art that you can reach. Or Tai Chi, both of those, all right? Aikido and Tai Chi. Problem is, you can't Aikido your way to Aikido. You gotta Jiu-Jitsu your way to Aikido, right? And you'll never get there, but it's a good kind of North Star to like aim for, right? If you want to talk more about that, then we'll go have some drinks after. So when we're here like this, what the fuck am I talking about at this point? So regardless if I do the spinny thing or the flippy thing, right? I'm gonna wind up in one of these. We'll do the flippy thing. So he's driving his weight forward here like before. I go clear here like this. I'm gonna kick him up and over, bah, this way. And we wind up in this T-frame. This may also be one of the results you encountered whenever you did the spinny thing, right? Those are the technical names for these. When we get here, maybe my hips came completely out from underneath him on the spin, and now we're in this T-frame position. Okay, so from this T-frame position, what are the options from here? Okay, I'm glad you brought that up. At this point, I might be able to like come up and clear over to side control to finish this Kimura. I find that fairly awkward sometimes, right? So something else that we can kind of look to do is keep this, again, I want to keep this connection strong, and he's going to help me. That's the cool thing about this, is he's going to help me. Why is he going to help me? Because he doesn't want his arm floating out here so I can break it. So he's going to keep it compressed a lot of the time, right? Now he may not. He may try some kind of fancy escape where he extends his arms, but for the most part, this is the most common reaction. So now I'm gonna shrimp away from him and start going like a belly down kind of position here, okay? From there now I can start building up to my knees and elbows to make this a little more manageable. If you're more athletic than me, and a lot of people are, then maybe you can do this without those little incremental movements, right? But as we do this here, now once I come up, I'm pressing harder his wrist into his stomach, and I'm gonna lift my left elbow off of the ground, this away, here. I'm gonna slide my knee up behind his back, and this knee, I'm gonna bring over to his chest, here. Both knees can be down, left one can be up, right one down, right one can be up, left one down. I will argue that fact with almost anybody in the world. So when we get here though, I'm sitting essentially on his head. I've got the Kimura configuration still here. I would like to be able to, if I can, free it now and finish the Kimura, okay? So what we're doing though, from here, well, couldn't you go into like crucifix and do all this kind of stuff? Absolutely, you can go into like Japanese leg scissors, all that kind of stuff. But if he's really doing a good job keeping his arms compressed, a lot of those options are not existent, right? Or they're not as efficient, at least to get to. So I'm gonna shrimp away. Here, go belly down, this way. I'm gonna use my elbows and my grip to pull me up to my knees, slide that knee up behind his back, compress his torso with my knees through like this, here, okay? Try to rip that free and finish. You might not be able to, and then we'll look at an option if you can't, okay? Again, like sometimes it's difficult to finish that from there, because he's still strong, you know, he's still hugging that in. So let's talk about a couple different options for finishes off of that. One, let's look at this here. We'll go ahead and start from that north-south kind of position that we wound up in this last time, just for time's sakes. And we get here, he's up on his side. And again, like if one knee down, one knee up, like I personally, I like my knee down behind him that wedges in under his back to save that space. And then this knee, I like it to be up. Some of the reasons for that is, I don't know, I just like it. But I feel like I can squeeze more when I do that. And I can sit down better and all that. So it's just, it's a little bit of personal preference. I also got into that habit because I used to like to do that leg scissor choke. And this is right around the corner from it. Because like if I just windshield wiper this one underneath him and then pull him over here, then now we've got that leg scissor choke. And it's, I think, an underutilized movement in today's modern BJJ scene, but the people who do use it finish matches with it, right? Go watch like Nikki Sullivan is like a master at that. She's brilliant with that move, and she's won high level black belt competition with that move. Whatever, it doesn't matter. But that's an option. Nothing's happening to free this arm. That's an option, right? Or we can go Genie Kimura. If you don't know what Genie Kimura is, it's from here. Like I'm like, he's like, no. And so I'm gonna take my hand that's on his wrist and I'm gonna punch it here, this way behind his back, okay? So I'm sliding from the grip on my wrist or forearm down, or up rather, to my bicep. And I'm putting the back of my fist on the floor, back of my hand toward the mat like this, okay? Now at that point here, this way, now I'm gonna drop to the elbow while I've got this one still in place. I'm gonna drop to that elbow here and sprawl. Last piece here, I'm gonna sit my right leg through, so I'm gonna open, sit through, sorry, here. Yeah, it's really nasty. So we're finishing on the wrong side with that Genie style Kimura, okay? So, again, sorry.
It's all good, man.
There's not a real easy way to do this one. So we're here like this, he's resisting. I'm gonna punch, put my hand, fist on the floor, back of my hand toward him like this. That seems to be the strongest structure, right? And then from that position now, I'm gonna start dropping to my elbow here. It's hard to finish from north-south. I open my left knee here, post, and then start sliding through. So I'm gonna let go, pretend that I'm still holding the arm, but as I go to sit through, dropping my ribs and rotating. you shouldn't make it that far, right? Like, if you make it that far, like you're a mean person because his arm broke a while back and you're just like locked in on it. So but I wanted to emphasize the rotational force that we're using for it. So you got, now there's two options there, yeah? So we've got those two. If you want a fancier option, because why not? You can go Tarikoplata with it, right? Essentially, Tarikoplata, the way we get to it from this position here, a way we can get to it from this position, depending on your level of flexibility. I'm gonna keep my, the hand that's inserted by the elbow. I'm gonna switch that out and try to get this false grip on his wrist. My second hand here, I wanna try to get his leg. Oftentimes it'll be reachable. If it's not, you don't need to do that, right? And that's an important thing in Jiu-Jitsu. Like if you need something to happen for a technique to work, it'll be there, unless it's not. And if it's not, then you didn't need it, because there's something better to do, okay? So I'm gonna push the leg down, get that little false grip here, make sure the legs are clear, throw this over here this way, okay? If this is still comfortable here, you don't have to make that switch, but I'm giving you that option just to see if it's better for you, right? Post, turn to face, here this way, okay? Degree or another, I go into attack here for this straight arm crunch. Again, mechanics of this, ear to shoulder pinch. I'm above the elbow here, hugging in butterfly grip. If I can, I'd like to try to get this shin beside his neck for a frame to expose his arm and keep him off center better, right? His reaction here today is gonna be, he goes branch down. I'm gonna hug this nice and tight. It's gonna stay tight the whole time, right? From that position, while it's still staying tight, I'm gonna take my outside arm under my inside arm here this way. I'm gonna flare the wrist to try to create space and opportunity to be able to get the Kimura configuration here, right? If I can finish from here, finish from here. Anytime the hand comes free, finish from there. If though, like I'm like, I can almost get it, I'm gonna pummel that knee down, pop it over, step on the hip, pull to get it free, finish, right? Sometimes what will happen from here as he's burying his hand, he'll clear the leg out, boom, that way. I start to shrimp away. Here this way, get my butterfly hook inserted, like that. I'm gonna continue to like shrimp away from him to keep him committed about driving his weight forward. As he's driving his weight forward here like this, I keep the hands underneath his foundation, and I'm gonna use my butterfly hook to elevate him up and over and across. We wind up in this T-frame position from here, right? Now, the last thing that we were looking at doing was from this T-frame position here, I need to try to get to the top position. So I'm actually shrimping my hips away. I'm coming up on my elbows, knees, driving the knee behind his back as a wedge. I come in for the pinch, seated headlock here. Maybe I get the finish from there. I'm not getting finished, then maybe we can go to Genie Kimura, right? So Genie Kimura is where I'm gonna punch behind the back here. Now I'm gonna drop my elbow to the floor, head to the floor. I'm gonna start moving my head, my legs rather, to the side, finish the wrong side Genie Kimura like that, okay? I don't feel like that opportunity is gonna work for me, so maybe the Tarikoplata is a better option. So on the Tarikoplata, again, false grip on the wrist. I'm gonna push the legs down to make sure I can clear it, toss the leg over to the side, post on the floor, finish with Tarikoplata, okay? I get here and I'm like, there's no way in hell I'm getting either of those options. I'm just gonna say, screw it, go to the Japanese leg scissors here like this, crunch to the side, extend, squeeze, okay? The other opportunity that we started to set things in motion was whenever we got to this position, and instead of him driving that forward here, right, he started to set his weight back. So we're here like this. He starts to set his weight back. Again, butterfly hook comes in. I'm clearing my leg out to the side, but this time with the intention of spinning here this way. Maybe this results in a back take. Maybe he's too low for the back take, so we come inside here like this instead. And then I start setting up here for the triangle, okay? On the triangle, pulling this in nice and tight, pinching his arm toward his ear, here. Triangle from here, not getting the triangle, go back, finish with the arm lock from there, right? Or, let's see. Also from that position, if we are more shallow, we wind up in that T-frame position. Same thing as before when we kicked him over. Go belly down, build up to the elbows and the knees, and then we're in that seated north-south Kimura position with all those other options, okay? Anything else?